Okay. So basically, um, I think what I was doing was, where were we? I don't
You were
remember.
you were drastically under eating.
I was drastically under eating. And so she was basically telling me, what is it? Your basal metabolic rate is like 1,500 calories for where I'm at. And she was like, you're not even eating enough to survive in a coma. And just by her saying that, like, really snapped with me. I was like, well, I've never heard that before. I didn't know I was supposed to eat over that many calories just to like survive. And she's like, and then you're doing workouts on top of that. And then you're stressed. And she's like, your body is just, it's not responding because it's terrified that you're going to stop eating again, because that's what you do.
Hmm.
And it was like, and I knew that. I was like, I knew my body was stuck. And I knew my body was just like holding on so tightly to whatever it is I have, because, it doesn't know when the next shoe is going to drop.
Yeah.
It's thinking, out of like just the sequence of stuff that's happened in the last like 7 years of my life. So um, it was just a matter of just putting those two puzzle pieces together and believing that it was safe enough now for me to relax and for
Mm.
me to eat more, and that my body was actually going to respond more to me eating than me not eating, because I'm no longer in fight or flight like praise,
Right.
and I'm no longer like running on adrenaline. I'm actually in a very like peaceful spot. I'm well taken care of. There is food, there is, now I have care for my son, and there's work, and there's just like there's things that are happening, and it's like we're safe, like we're fine.
Yeah.
um and so now it was like it was just this big turning point for me, where, and it's like it's beautiful, right? Because I was running on all of this adrenaline for so long, and I feel like I was really just trying to make sure that I was taking care of my son. And now I'm at the point where like my son is taken care of and I have help, and it's time to take care of myself
Yeah.
in order to step into this next chapter of my life. Um, so yeah, now I'm eating more.
Good.
I'm understanding like the macros, the protein and the carbs and the fat. I get what that like really means, and like how it comes together in the pie of the
Hmm.
day. Um, so, and
What
I
was
find, what's that?
well? I want to. I believe I know the answer to this, but I want to ask just for the sake of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
What was your biggest hesitancy about eating more? Was it the just the traditional, if I eat more, I'm gonna gain weight and not look the way I want to look? Was it that belief, or what else was it?
Um, I think it was two things. Like, I think one, I just didn't have an appetite.
Hmm.
Still didn't have an appetite. It was like my body was just used to that, or I was used to that. Um, and two, it was like when I do want to eat, I would just go for the things that were like more comforting for me, because it's like, yay, I'm hungry. Let's eat something fun.
Yeah.
And um, and so I think it was just a matter of just allowing the process to be actually a little bit more simplified. I was complicating it way too much. And it was like just eating more meals during the day versus like I would eat one thing in the day sometimes, and it would be like a big thing.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, well, that's good. I'm not hungry now. Like, I'm fine. But I think, yeah, when it comes to also the MyFitnessPal app, which is what I'm using, um, at the top of the bar, like you have your stats, like what you're supposed to reach for the day. And I when you go over your macros, it puts a negative sign.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, Meredith, our nutritionist, she was like, no, that's a good thing. She's like, it should be a plus sign. She's like, because that's like she's like, the numbers I gave you are basically a baseline. That's a baseline. You have to hit those in order to just function.
Yeah.
Like just function, like just stay alive and like have energy. You need to hit those numbers. And I was thinking of the opposite. I was like, oh, I need to come in under those numbers. Like, I don't want to like go over. And she's like, no, I actually want you to go over. Um, so like that was a big aha moment for me. And I found like and honestly, it was like maybe just a week ago where I was like hitting those numbers and started to feel like a change almost instantly.
Yeah.
And also a change like hormonally. Like I wasn't, you know, I wasn't like getting my period. And for me, that was like a big sign of like something's really wrong.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Um,
That's a very big deal.
yeah, it was like, because I'm usually pretty regular, but when I'm super stressed, like it just fluctuates a little bit as it does for most women. But I was like, I've been trying so hard. And I was like, that was a big, it was a big like shock for me. I was like, gosh, something's wrong. Like I'm still stressed, or I'm still like, something's not working. And so on top of like just eating properly again, because my body was just scared.
Hmm.
Um, because of memory, your body like holds the memory.
Oh yeah.
And so my body just was scared. And it's still like, I feel like my body and my digestive system is now just like, oh, we can trust you again. It's like an abused dog
Yeah, that's a great
that
way to put it.
was
Yeah.
just rescued, and you're like trying to eat again and trying to like feel safe again. And it's like, oh no, I don't want to come out from underneath the table. I don't want to come out from underneath the table. Like I'm not sure that not something bad's not going to happen out there.
Mm.
And for me, it was just like just starting to slowly come back out, like out from under the table, and like eat a little more, and like, you know, start habit stacking. Like I couldn't do it all at once. And I thought that I could. It's like, I know what to do. I know what to do to be healthy. I know the routines I have to have. But with everything that has gone on and my body keeping the score of all of that, it was like, yeah, it was like an abused little animal that was just like too
Yeah.
scared to come back out into those places. But now I've like started to habit stack and like add a little bit more protein to my morning routine, like whether it's just in my coffee or just like have some protein within the first hour, adding electrolytes in my water,
Hmm.
taking my vitamins, like not all the ones because I can't do all of them. There's like probably 100 I need to have a day. And I'm like, "No, I can't. It's just too much. It's too
Yeah.
much all at the same time." So it's like now I'm like starting to slowly add in all these things that are going to fuel my workouts. So then, and I also like changed my mind as to like the scale and like losing weight. It's like I just need to get over that. What I want to feel is healthy and happy and energized and like, have this lightness about me, and not necessarily like the lightness of the scale. Like who cares about that?
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one because it's a quantifiable metric, right? Like you're looking at it and like that's the outcome you want is like you want the scale to go down, or for guys, I want the scale to go up, or whatever the goal is. But oftentimes, just focusing on that doesn't give you the result you want. It's
Right.
almost like when you're meditating and you're
Hmm.
just thinking about meditating. Well, if you're thinking about meditating, then you're not actually meditating. 'Cause the point of meditating is to not think about anything. And so it's a very like counterintuitive thing,
Yeah.
right? And so oftentimes people will reach their results when they focus on, like you said, I want to feel good. I want to fuel my performance. I want to habit stack. Forget the scale, and you just start to run through that process, and
Yeah.
eventually you step on the scale one day and you're like, holy smokes, this is great. Like this is
Yeah.
awesome. This is exactly what I wanted. It's a very paradoxical way to reach a goal because you just want to focus on the goal, the thing, and oftentimes that's not how it works.
Hmm. I think I was like trying to bypass, I was trying to do a fitness bypass. It's like, okay, let's just get this done. Let's like lose 40 pounds and 4 months. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, I could probably do that if I was just drinking iced coffee and running on adrenaline and running away again, from something. Yeah, maybe I would. But like, that's not where we're at now.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not sustainable. Like it's just it's not
no,
it
I
I
don't want to do
know.
that anymore.
Yeah. And I know it's been super hard for you to run through this process. Like I don't want to act like I've gone through that, but like you've gone through something really challenging. Even but it's honestly so good that you have because you've learned. It's the parable like feed a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man a fish, he eats for a lifetime, right? And so you've kind of gone through this process where you've had to like
Right.
relearn all of this, but it's stuff that you can carry with you forever. And so now it can become a lifelong thing where you have a better understanding rather than just like get a quick result and then what? You're just gonna go on adrenaline forever? Like you can't do it. You can't do it. And
Yeah.
and people do that all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think that was like the biggest step too of just going on this journey with you too was like I know I needed to make a change. I was like, I know I'm not happy. But I think what was really cool too is also like how you work and what you provide for your clients, right? Like you understand that there's root causes
Mm.
and you are doing your best to like get to those points. Like you really hear and listen to like what we're saying. And if you feel like you can't or you don't have the tools or the answers, like you provide those through other means. So like I really appreciate that. And I'm so, glad that I found you because honestly, I think the biggest thing for me too was that I knew that I needed to get better. And I knew that I wanted to continue on my health and fitness journey. I do love fitness. But I knew that I needed real support,
Mm.
like hands on support. I needed somebody that could like push me. I think I told you in our very first call, I was like, no, I need you to text me and be like, did you work out today? Like get your butt off the couch and go. And it's like for me, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have that support right now. I don't
Yeah.
have that support from like my family or a husband or anything like that. So having that support from you was like really valuable to me.
Yeah.
Having someone that could just be like, no, I see you, like, and you've got this. But it wasn't always you've got this. It was also just like, you need to rest, girl.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. I think sometimes people have this picture in their mind that like, a coach is gonna say, "Hey, go harder, go this, go that," and some do. But that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, very similar to you when I was training, was oftentimes what we need is rest. And I had because I had a goal of like, being a competitive CrossFit athlete, and I was scrolling through Instagram and seeing other competitors just like crushing workouts, and I'm like, that's what I got to do. I got to do more. And my coach at the time spoke into me, and he's like, no, take a week off. Your fitness is not going to melt away in a week. Go take a week off. And
Mhm.
it was very a paradigm shift for me. And so I know when I'm working with someone like you and you're sharing the things that you were sharing, you're like, I feel tired, I feel stressed, I feel whatever. It's like, I think you need like just take some time off. And that can honestly be the push that you need. And so I'm glad I was able to provide that for you. I really am. And it seems like it's been helpful. Um,
Mhm.
resting and eating. It's like
Yeah.
who knew? Who knew getting some fuel
Well,
in there?
yeah, and it was just so supportive, right? Because that's not what I've been told before, right?
Yeah.
It was just more like, "Oh, no, try harder, go harder, like eat less, da da da." And, this time around it was just more support. It was softer, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're soft. You're soft when you're soft, but you're hard when you're hard." You're tough when you're tough.
um, I want to come back to this. You mentioned something I think is very poignant for people to hear out there. Let me exit out of this. Sorry. You mentioned your body being like a stray dog, right? Like that relationship, like it was like an abused animal. I think that's a very important thing to talk about because it alludes to the relationship we have with ourselves, right? And you kind of put some personification there, which I really like. But maybe share with the audience what that felt like and maybe how you've healed that. I mean, we've already been talking about it, like you're eating more, you're resting more, but maybe some of the psychological and the dialogue you have with yourself, because there's a lot there. People, myself included, we're very hard on ourselves and we're very easy on other people. You know,
Hmm.
like if I talk to myself the way that I spoke to you sometimes when you needed encouragement, I'd be a different human. But I'm ruthless with myself
Hmm.
sometimes, and oftentimes that's just how it is. So I don't know. I'd love for you to share a little bit about that.
Well, I think that's why we need other people, you know, because even in like the wounded dog space, like the wounded dog isn't going to take care of themselves.
Mm,
You need other people to come in and help you and speak softly to you and sometimes like spoon feed you. Sometimes you just need to be taken care of. So
mm,
I think like that was just one of the things that I allowed, you
mm,
know, for myself was, because even like, the wounded animal is still going to try to run away, but there's, they still have to, you have to sometimes just surrender to, to where it is that you're at. Like, and I think for me, it was just like, I just wanted like this radical acceptance of like myself and
mm,
where I'm at. Like, so I think for me, I just did a lot of like, I do like to meditate and I do sometimes like hypnosis style meditation where I go like way deep and get to like the root cause, childhood stuff, other traumas and all the things.
yeah.
Um, so I would do a lot of that. And all of it is just like, you know, just trusting not only in yourself, because that's just such a concept that comes later,
Mm,
but trusting in other people or in the people that like God has put in your life or that he sends your way. Like when you're in alignment with God or you're just surrendering your life over to him, like people come, people just show up.
yeah.
It's the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
And everyone is like a messenger.
Mm,
And it's really beautiful. And I think for me, it was just like surrendering to that and surrendering to the fact that, like, okay, I can't do this on my own. Done everything on my own. I got out of bad situations on my own. I'm taking care of my kid on my own. I'm like, going back to school, even. I'm doing everything on my own. And it was like, I can't do one more thing on my own. I
yeah.
just can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was realizing that.
And I imagine, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I imagine that it was probably hard to surrender to accepting help from other people in some respect because you'd been betrayed by some people who got close to you, and so you're like, well, there maybe a little bit there. I don't know. You can speak to that, but that's at least the story I'm telling myself is maybe there was a little bit of trauma there. Where you're like, can I trust? Can I actually let go? I don't know if that resonates.
Oh no, it does. I think also, again, that was like one of the reasons that I did decide to work with you is because I was still kind of in that place of like I don't trust anybody and I can do everything on myself by myself. And then you popped up, and not only are you, you're doing what I wanted to be doing. You're healthy. You're running a business. You're a single dad, and also like you're a man of faith. And like those were the things that were like I feel like I can trust this person,
Mm,
and um like that's a big deal, Kyle. But also I wanted to test the theory. I wanted to test like, and this was safe enough for me to like reach out to you and like trust you from everything that you've said and like our conversations. I was like, I think I can trust this guy.
mm,
And so like that was a big healing part for even me and like for my heart. Cause like even just, working with you, a male, was me opening my heart a little bit
yeah.
and trusting you with like
Yeah.
my vulnerable
Yeah. That
state that I'm in.
that that takes a lot, and it speaks to your character. I mean, it speaks to your willingness to not keep running and just be like, you know what, we got to figure something out. And not everyone does that. Some people never do that,
Yeah.
and that's what's insane. But you did it, and now you're on the other side of it, and it's. I want to be clear to the audience. It's not like, oh, we got it all figured out. Like it's, but you're moving in that direction. Like you figured
Hmm.
some things out, and you're still walking through the process. And that's something I try to make clear too about coaching. It's like I'm a catalyst for your growth. I can be, right? But you have to be willing to do the work. and
Yeah.
not everyone is. And I try to make that clear on the calls I have with people. It's like, hey, doesn't matter how good the program is, the nutrition is, how available I am, doesn't matter. If you're not willing to put the work in, it's not going to
Right.
work. And so I want to make sure the audience knows, like, I want to give you credit. Like, you've put the work
Oh,
in,
thanks.
and you're still putting the work in. And that's huge, right? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So what's what's next for you? I mean, we're still working together. So we still got a few months of crushing this thing, but we're forward thinking. What's next for you?
Oof. Well, I am at a farm in Constantine, Michigan, which is look that up. I dare
Yeah.
you.
What in the world?
So, yeah, this is a really good friend of mine. This is his mother's property, and she just inherited it too. So it's been in their family estate, and it hasn't really been updated since maybe the 70s, if
Mm.
that. So they got wind of like what I was doing and the other projects that I've helped friends and family with, like with renovation and all the things. And so she asked if I could help her with this really big project here. So I'm renovating a big garage barn event space.
Cool. Very cool.
And also like the inside a little bit like this back here will be something.
Yeah.
The inside of her little farmhouse too. So big farmhouse. So yeah, I'm here until at least like April, March, and then wherever God
Yeah.
wants me to go. I think like that is one of the beautiful gifts about my situation is just, there's a lot of things that, and I went down this rabbit hole last year, a lot of these things I don't have. I don't have this, I don't have that. But a really good friend of mine like had a conversation with me once and she was like, I think you just need to change your perspective.
Mm.
And she's like, you have freedom. She's like, you have a lot of freedom. She's like, you can go anywhere you want to go. You can move anywhere you want to move to. You can raise your son any way you choose. It's all up to you. And she's like, that's hard, but there's also a lot of freedom there. You don't have to check in with anyone to, like decide what to do with him or for him. Again, which can be hard, but it was very freeing. She was just like, I think you need to exercise your freedom. And so with that just came traveling. So I took
Yeah.
my son to Europe last year and
Cool.
yeah, it was just amazing. So maybe some travel this summer. But yeah, we have total freedom and um, just I'm waiting for the next steps from God. Right now, he's put me here
Mm.
and he's put me here with a job to do. And so I'm going to do it and do it well and then wait for the next assignment.
No, that's so awesome. Yeah, the it is a weird so I don't necessarily like being a single dad. I've got some regrets of my relationship and the whole thing, but I'll be very honest, similar to you, I would not have been able to really dive into this whole podcasting and social media and growing a business the way I have if we weren't split in time. Because as you know, it's really tough when you have a little one
Yeah.
around and you're trying to do things. And as much as I don't like it, it's affording a possibility, and I have to look at it that way. So it's a tough balance. You're thankful for it, right? You're
Yeah.
thankful for the freedom, but you're also like, this is really hard, and I don't necessarily like it, but I'm gonna try and your perspective. I mean, perspective is a huge word,
Yeah.
and that's huge. You're in a really good spot.
Thank you. You too. I mean, honestly, Kyle, like there's a lot of other things you could be doing with your split time,
Right,
but you choose to serve others and serve the Lord and only up, only up from there,
right. That's right.
you know?
All right. Well, tell people where can they find you for your business if they're interested in some designing and some work like that. Where can they find you?
Okay. Well, I'm still in, the beta stages mostly and, bringing it up, but you can reach me. The best place is Instagram and it's just Tammy Joe Fashion, Joe with no E. Um, And yeah, I mean, if you're interested, I am doing like virtual design work. So if there's a room that you have that you need to flip, I can still help you with that even from afar.
Cool.
But I do love to travel too. So yeah,
Heck yeah.
we can
Awesome.
make it work.
Cool. I'll put a
Yeah.
link in the description so when people watch this on YouTube or Spotify, they can find you on Instagram and shoot you a message. Um,
Yeah.
running a business is hard. It takes a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
ups and downs, and there's highs and there's lows, and the biggest thing is being consistent, and that's what you're doing. You're being consistent. You're not
Yeah.
quitting on it. And if you don't quit, you can't lose. Like it's that simple. It's just a game of outlasting
Right.
people, and you're doing it.
Right.
So that's
Right.
awesome.
Thank you. Also, if anybody, if anyone listens to this podcast and is going through any similar situations or, breakups or betrayals or single motherhood, feel free. Please reach out. Like I think that's one of the biggest things that like I even ask God for. It's like send me the people that my story can do some good for. Because otherwise then what was the point?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Sharing it with people. That's so awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
for you out there listening, seriously, hit up Tammy. She is amazing to have a conversation with, and she'll help you and be encouraging. I mean, it's really great. So don't hesitate. This was a really great podcast. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
keep hitting me up as you need help with training, and I'll keep making sure I'm holding you accountable, and we'll keep this thing rolling.
Yeah. Excited.
Cool. All right, you guys, thank you for watching and listening. This was another episode of the Strain Forward podcast. And as always, keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward.